Maya Chen stood frozen outside the elegant ballroom of the Fairmont Hotel, watching her sister Lily panic as she spotted the man walking down the red carpet. The same man Lily had convinced to abandon Maya 3 years ago was now adjusting his tuxedo, preparing to escort Maya down the aisle as her husband. The irony was so perfect that Maya almost smiled, despite the chaos her sister was creating in the hotel lobby. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. 3 years ago, Maya had been a struggling graduate student working 2 jobs to pay for her master's in environmental engineering. Today, she owned a successful green technology company valued at $12 million, and she was about to marry the most eligible bachelor in Seattle's tech scene. The transformation wasn't magic. It was the result of losing everything she thought she wanted and discovering what she actually needed. Maya had spent 26 years being the responsible older sister to Lily's Golden Child Act. Growing up in San Francisco, their family dynamic was established before Maya could even understand what was happening. While Maya received practical gifts like textbooks and school supplies for birthdays, Lily received jewelry, designer clothes, and elaborate parties that lasted entire weekends. The pattern began early and never wavered. When Maya was 8 and Lily was 6, Maya had saved her allowance for 3 months to buy a telescope she'd seen at the Science Museum. The night before the purchase, Lily decided she wanted to take dance classes at an expensive studio across town. Without hesitation, their parents redirected Maya's telescope fund to cover Lily's registration fees and dance costumes. When Maya cried about her lost telescope, her father explained that Lily's artistic development was an investment in her future, while Maya could always check out library books about astronomy. This became the template for their childhood. Maya's achievements were expected and barely acknowledged, while Lily's slightest improvements were celebrated with family dinners and photo sessions. When Maya made honor roll consistently throughout middle school, it was treated as normal. When Lily managed to pass algebra after 3 rounds of expensive tutoring, their parents threw a surprise party and bought her a new laptop. The academic disparity created its own problems. Maya excelled in mathematics and science, spending her free time building solar-powered devices and entering regional engineering competitions. She won first place at the state science fair during her sophomore year of high school, but her parents missed the ceremony because Lily had a minor role in her high school spring musical. Maya stood on stage accepting her award while scanning an auditorium filled with proud parents, but none of them were hers. Meanwhile, Lily struggled academically, but compensated with social success and dramatic flair. She dated the captain of the football team, organized school fundraisers, and always seemed to be at the center of teenage social dynamics. Their parents viewed this as evidence of Lily's superior emotional intelligence and natural leadership abilities. Maya's preference for quiet study sessions and small groups of friends was interpreted as antisocial behavior that needed correction. The intervention attempts were humiliating. Maya's parents would force her to attend Lily's social gatherings where she felt completely out of place among teenagers more interested in gossip than global warming. When Maya tried to contribute to conversations about environmental policy or renewable energy, she was dismissed as too serious or lectured about the importance of being more like her socially successful sister. College applications revealed the full extent of their parents' favoritism. Maya had earned a partial scholarship to UC Berkeley's engineering program, but the remaining costs were substantial. She spent her senior year working at a local coffee shop and tutoring younger students to save money for tuition. Her parents praised her work ethic, but made it clear that she was expected to handle her educational costs independently since she was naturally academically inclined. Lily, meanwhile, had been accepted to several private colleges despite mediocre grades and test scores. Her parents immediately began liquidating investments and taking out loans to ensure she could attend the most expensive option, a prestigious liberal arts college in Oregon. When Maya pointed out the financial inconsistency, her mother explained that Lily needed more support to reach her potential, while Maya would succeed anywhere due to her natural intelligence. The summer before college departure became a masterclass in differential treatment. Lily received a complete wardrobe overhaul, new electronics, and a car to take to school. Maya received a used laptop and a lecture about the character-building benefits of student loans. The night before leaving for Berkeley, Maya found herself packing her few belongings into 2 suitcases while listening to her parents host a going-away party for Lily that included extended family, catered food, and a professional photographer. Berkeley transformed Maya's understanding of what was possible. Surrounded by brilliant peers and professors who valued intellectual curiosity, she thrived academically and discovered her passion for sustainable technology. She joined environmental engineering clubs, participated in research projects, and began developing ideas for solar energy applications that would later become the foundation of her business.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
The social environment at Berkeley also taught Maya about functional relationships. Her roommate Chen was a computer science major from a family that celebrated all their children's achievements equally. Through Chen's family, Maya experienced holiday gatherings where accomplishments were shared rather than compared, where support was given based on need rather than favoritism. The contrast with her own family dynamics became impossible to ignore. During her sophomore year, Maya began dating David Huam, a business major who appreciated her intelligence and ambition. David came from an entrepreneurial family and encouraged Maya's ideas about starting her own environmental technology company. Their relationship was built on mutual respect and shared goals, concepts that felt revolutionary after growing up in a household where love seemed conditional on compliance with parental preferences. The relationship with David also provided Maya's first experience with emotional support during stressful periods. When she struggled with a particularly challenging thermodynamics course, David helped her organize study schedules and provided encouragement without trying to fix her problems or minimize her concerns. When she worried about her parents' lack of interest in her academic progress, David listened without judgment and validated her feelings, rather than suggesting she try harder to earn their attention. Maya's college years were marked by increasing distance from her family and growing confidence in her own judgment. Phone calls home became brief and factual, focusing on grades and course schedules rather than personal feelings or social relationships. Her parents interpreted this as further evidence of Maya's antisocial tendencies, often commenting that Lily's frequent calls, filled with dramatic stories and emotional needs, were more satisfying forms of family connection. Lily's college experience followed a predictable pattern of academic struggles, frequent major changes, and constant requests for additional financial support. She began as a theater major, switched to psychology, then communications, and finally settled on business administration after 4.5 years. Throughout these transitions, their parents provided emotional support and financial assistance without question, treating each setback as a learning experience and each small success as evidence of Lily's eventual triumph. The contrast became most apparent during Maya's senior year, when she was accepted to Stanford's graduate program in environmental engineering with a full fellowship. The achievement represented years of hard work, exceptional academic performance, and recognition from one of the world's most prestigious universities. Her parents' reaction was a brief congratulations followed by immediate concern about how Lily would handle Maya being geographically closer to home while Lily was still struggling to finish her undergraduate degree. Maya's graduate school years at Stanford intensified her focus on sustainable technology and entrepreneurship. She worked with professors on cutting-edge solar panel research while developing her own innovations in energy storage systems. The combination of advanced technical knowledge and business acumen she'd gained through David's influence positioned her to recognize commercial applications for her research that others missed. The breakthrough came during her second year, when Maya developed a more efficient solar panel design that could be manufactured at significantly lower costs than existing technologies. Working with university technology transfer offices and patent attorneys, she began the process of commercializing her innovation. The early stages required long hours, constant problem-solving, and willingness to accept rejection from potential investors who didn't understand the market potential of her technology. David's support during this period proved crucial to Maya's success. While completing his own MBA at Stanford, he helped Maya develop business plans, practice investor presentations, and navigate the complex world of startup funding. Their relationship deepened through shared professional challenges and mutual encouragement during setbacks. By Maya's final year of graduate school, they had begun discussing marriage and planning a future that combined their complementary skills in technology and business. The proposal happened during Maya's thesis defense celebration. David had arranged a quiet dinner at their favorite restaurant in Palo Alto, where they had spent countless evenings discussing their future plans and professional aspirations. The ring he presented was elegant but not ostentatious, reflecting Maya's practical nature and their shared values about financial responsibility. Maya accepted immediately, feeling confident in their partnership and excited about building a life together. Their engagement announcement to Maya's family revealed the persistent dynamics that had shaped her childhood. Her parents' first questions focused on David's family background, his career prospects, and the timeline for grandchildren, rather than Maya's happiness or the strength of their relationship. When Maya shared details about her solar panel patent and the potential for commercializing her research, the conversation quickly shifted to Lily's latest relationship drama and her struggles to find employment after graduation. Lily's reaction to the engagement was particularly telling. Rather than congratulating Maya, she immediately began questioning whether Maya was settling for someone who might hold back her career ambitions. She suggested that Maya was too young for marriage and should focus on establishing her professional identity before committing to a relationship. The concern seemed genuine, but Maya recognized the underlying pattern of Lily inserting herself into Maya's decisions and creating doubt about Maya's choices. The wedding planning process became another exercise in family favoritism. Maya and David preferred a small, intimate ceremony focused on close friends and family members who had supported their relationship. Their parents immediately began expanding the guest list and suggesting elaborate details that reflected their social aspirations rather than Maya's preferences. When Maya pushed back against the costly additions, her mother explained that Lily would need an impressive wedding to reference when her own time came, and Maya's ceremony should establish appropriate family standards. The financial dynamics were equally problematic.
While Maya and David were prepared to pay for their own wedding, Maya's parents insisted on contributing to maintain appearances within their social circle. However, their contributions came with strings attached in the form of venue requirements, catering specifications, and guest list mandates that transformed Maya's vision of an intimate gathering into a production designed to showcase family status. Maya found herself caught between David's diplomatic attempts to accommodate her parents' wishes and her own growing resentment about having her wedding transformed into a performance. The stress began affecting their relationship as Maya struggled to balance her desire for family harmony with her need for autonomy in planning what should have been the most personal celebration of their partnership. The breaking point came 6 weeks before the wedding when Maya discovered that Lily had been systematically undermining her relationship with David through private conversations and carefully planted seeds of doubt. The revelation would change everything Maya thought she knew about family loyalty, trust, and the true nature of the people closest to her. What started as wedding planning stress was about to become a complete upheaval of Maya's understanding of her place in her family and her future with the man she loved. Maya learned about Lily's manipulation through David himself, who finally confessed the mounting pressure he'd been experiencing. The conversation happened on a Tuesday evening in their shared apartment near Stanford, where they'd been living together for 8 months while planning their future. David had been unusually quiet for several days, and Maya had attributed his distraction to work stress and wedding planning overwhelm. David's confession began hesitantly as he explained that Lily had been contacting him regularly over the past month, ostensibly to help with wedding planning, but actually to express concerns about his relationship with Maya. According to Lily, Maya had always been difficult to live with due to her rigid personality and tendency to prioritize work over relationships. Lily painted a picture of Maya as someone who would become increasingly controlling and unsupportive as their marriage progressed. The specific concerns Lily raised were carefully crafted to exploit David's own insecurities about their relationship. She suggested that Maya's academic achievements had made her arrogant and dismissive of others' contributions, including David's business expertise. She predicted that Maya would eventually resent David for not being as technically brilliant as she was, and that his MBA would seem inadequate compared to her advanced engineering degree and research publications. Lily also targeted their different cultural backgrounds, suggesting that Maya had never fully embraced David's Chinese heritage and would become less tolerant of his family's traditions as she became more successful professionally. She pointed out moments during family gatherings where Maya had seemed uncomfortable or disengaged, interpreting these as evidence of underlying prejudice rather than Maya's general discomfort with social situations. Most manipulatively, Lily framed her concerns as protective of both Maya and David. She claimed to love her sister deeply, but worried that Maya's inability to compromise or show emotional vulnerability would destroy their marriage within a few years. She suggested that David deserved someone who would celebrate his achievements rather than unconsciously competing with him, and that calling off the engagement would save them both from future heartbreak. The campaign was sophisticated and persistent. Lily would call David when she knew Maya was in class or at the lab, engaging him in lengthy conversations that began with innocent questions about wedding details and gradually shifted to deeper concerns about compatibility. She shared childhood stories that portrayed Maya as selfish and inflexible, always reframing events to support her narrative about Maya's character flaws. David's growing uncertainty about their relationship manifested in subtle changes that Maya initially attributed to pre-wedding anxiety. He became less enthusiastic about their business discussions, sometimes suggesting that Maya was overestimating the commercial potential of her solar panel innovations. He began questioning their wedding budget decisions, implying that Maya was being unrealistic about their financial situation despite his previous support for their choices. The most damaging aspect of Lily's manipulation was her ability to make David question his own perceptions of Maya's character. When David mentioned Maya's dedication to her research, Lily would agree while adding that Maya's passion for work might indicate an inability to prioritize their relationship. When David praised Maya's intelligence, Lily would express concern that Maya might eventually become bored with someone who couldn't match her academic achievements. Maya noticed the changes in David's behavior but couldn't identify their source. Their conversations became more strained as David seemed to be evaluating everything Maya said through a critical lens. Her excitement about her research progress was interpreted as obsession with work. Her practical approach to wedding planning was seen as lack of romantic sentiment. Her quiet moments were viewed as emotional withdrawal rather than comfortable companionship. The psychological pressure Lily created was particularly effective because it built on legitimate concerns that exist in any serious relationship. Every couple worries about compatibility, future happiness, and whether they're making the right choice in marriage. Lily's manipulation succeeded by amplifying these natural anxieties and providing seemingly reasonable explanations for why David should be concerned about his future with Maya. The final conversation between David and Maya happened on a rainy Thursday evening 3 weeks before their scheduled wedding. David had spent the day meeting with Lily, who had driven down from San Francisco, ostensibly to discuss final wedding arrangements, but actually to deliver her ultimate ultimatum. She told David that she couldn't stand by and watch him marry someone who would make him miserable, and that she felt obligated as Maya's sister to prevent a mistake that would hurt everyone involved. David returned to their apartment visibly shaken and immediately requested a serious conversation. Maya could see the distress in his expression and initially assumed he was dealing with work problems or family concerns. When he began by saying he needed to discuss their relationship, Maya felt her stomach drop with anticipation of something terrible. The breakup conversation was devastating precisely because David couldn't articulate clear reasons for his doubts.
He spoke vaguely about compatibility concerns and feeling pressure to rush into marriage before they had fully explored their differences. He mentioned worries about their different approaches to work-life balance and their contrasting personalities, concerns that seemed to come from nowhere given their previous discussions about these topics. Maya tried to address each concern David raised, but his responses suggested that his mind was already made up. He had moved beyond analyzing their relationship to protecting himself from what he now perceived as inevitable failure. The David who had supported her graduate research and encouraged her entrepreneurial dreams had been replaced by someone who saw these same qualities as potential threats to their partnership. The most heartbreaking aspect of the conversation was David's obvious confusion about his own feelings. He repeatedly said he loved Maya but felt uncertain about their future together. He couldn't explain why his concerns had intensified so dramatically in recent weeks, or why problems he'd never mentioned before suddenly seemed insurmountable.
Maya realized she was arguing with conclusions rather than concerns, trying to address symptoms of manipulation rather than the underlying disease. When Maya directly asked if someone had influenced his decision, David hesitated before denying any external pressure. His hesitation lasted long enough for Maya to understand that their breakup wasn't entirely his idea, but he either couldn't or wouldn't identify the source of his doubts. The betrayal felt complete when Maya realized that David had chosen to trust someone else's interpretation of their relationship over his own experience of their partnership. The practical aspects of canceling their wedding added insult to emotional injury. 3 weeks before the ceremony, Maya found herself calling vendors, canceling reservations, and explaining to confused friends and family members that the wedding was off. The financial losses were significant, but the social humiliation was worse. Maya had to endure countless conversations with well-meaning relatives who wanted to understand what had gone wrong and offer advice about salvaging the relationship. Maya's parents' reaction to the breakup revealed their true priorities with painful clarity. Rather than offering emotional support to their heartbroken daughter, they immediately began worrying about social embarrassment and financial losses. Their first concerns focused on what to tell extended family members and how to handle the canceled venue deposits. When Maya tried to explain her devastation about losing David, her mother suggested that the breakup was probably for the best, since Maya had always been too focused on career to be a good wife anyway. Lily's response to the breakup was a masterpiece of false sympathy and manufactured concern. She arrived at Maya's apartment the day after David moved out, bringing takeout food and tissues while expressing shock and sadness about the sudden end of Maya's engagement. She listened to Maya's tearful confusion about David's changed behavior and offered comfort while carefully avoiding any mention of her own role in the relationship's destruction. The aftermath of the breakup left Maya emotionally shattered and professionally adrift. Completing her graduate research became an exercise in pure determination as she struggled with depression and anxiety about her future. The solar panel innovations that had once excited her now seemed pointless without David's business expertise to help commercialize them. The startup dreams they had shared felt impossible to pursue alone, and Maya began considering more traditional employment options that would provide stability if not fulfillment. Maya's recovery began slowly and was aided by unexpected sources of support. Professor Martinez, her thesis advisor, noticed Maya's declining performance and arranged informal counseling sessions that helped her process the breakup without compromising her academic standing. Chen, her former roommate, who had witnessed Maya's relationship with David from the beginning, provided emotional support and practical assistance during the darkest weeks following the engagement's end. The revelation of Lily's manipulation came 6 months after the breakup through a mutual friend who had witnessed one of Lily's conversations with David at a coffee shop in Palo Alto. The friend, Rebecca, was a business school classmate of David's who had always admired Maya and David's relationship. Rebecca had overheard Lily systematically undermining Maya's character and questioning David's future happiness, and she finally decided Maya deserved to know the truth about what had destroyed her engagement. Learning about Lily's betrayal was simultaneously validating and devastating. Maya finally understood why David's concerns had seemed to come from nowhere and why her attempts to address his worries had been ineffective. She wasn't arguing with David's authentic feelings, but with Lily's carefully planted doubts and manufactured fears. The validation helped explain the breakup, but the knowledge that her own sister had deliberately sabotaged her relationship created a new level of emotional trauma. Maya's confrontation with Lily was swift and decisive. Armed with specific details about the manipulation campaign, Maya demanded an explanation for behavior that went beyond normal sibling rivalry into active sabotage. Lily's initial denials crumbled when Maya presented evidence of her interference, and the truth that emerged was even more disturbing than Maya had imagined. Lily's motivation for destroying Maya's relationship wasn't entirely clear even to Lily herself. She claimed to have been protecting Maya from a future divorce, but she also admitted to feeling overshadowed by Maya's academic success and professional prospects. The engagement to David represented another area where Maya was succeeding while Lily struggled, and Lily couldn't tolerate watching her supposedly antisocial sister achieve the happy relationship that had always eluded Lily herself. The family dynamics that had shaped their childhood made Lily's betrayal possible. Years of being treated as the golden child had given Lily an inflated sense of importance and entitlement that extended to her sister's personal relationships.
She genuinely believed she knew what was best for Maya better than Maya knew herself, and she felt justified in taking action to prevent what she perceived as Maya's mistake. Maya's decision to cut contact with Lily was immediate and non-negotiable. The manipulation wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment, but a sustained campaign of deliberate sabotage that had destroyed the most important relationship in Maya's life. Lily's tearful apologies and promises to fix what she had broken couldn't restore David's trust or repair the damage to Maya's emotional security. The estrangement from Lily created additional strain with Maya's parents, who refused to acknowledge the severity of what had happened. They minimized Lily's behavior as sisterly concern that had been misunderstood, and they pressured Maya to forgive and rebuild their relationship. When Maya refused to reconcile without genuine accountability from Lily, her parents accused her of being vindictive and holding grudges that would ultimately hurt the entire family. Maya's final year of graduate school was marked by this family isolation and the challenge of rebuilding her professional confidence without the emotional support she had expected from David. The solar panel research continued, but Maya had to develop new plans for commercializing her innovations without the business partnership she had counted on. The process was lonely and often discouraging, but it also forced Maya to develop independence and resilience she hadn't known she possessed. The breakthrough came during Maya's thesis defense, when several industry representatives in attendance expressed immediate interest in licensing her solar panel technology. The combination of superior efficiency and lower manufacturing costs represented a significant advancement in renewable energy applications, and Maya found herself fielding offers from established companies as well as venture capital firms interested in funding a startup. The decision to start her own company rather than licensing her technology to existing corporations was influenced partly by Maya's need to prove her independence and partly by her genuine belief that she could better control the development and application of her innovations. The process of securing initial funding, hiring employees, and establishing business operations provided the challenge and purpose Maya needed to move beyond the emotional devastation of her broken engagement. Maya's company, Solar Tech Innovations, launched 18 months after her breakup with David and achieved profitability within its first year of operations. The success was gratifying both professionally and personally, proving that Maya could build something significant without the support system she had previously relied upon. The company's growth also attracted media attention and industry recognition that established Maya as a rising star in sustainable technology. The personal transformation that accompanied Maya's professional success was equally significant. The shy, academically focused graduate student had evolved into a confident entrepreneur who could pitch investors, manage employees, and navigate complex business negotiations. The independence she had been forced to develop out of necessity became a source of strength and self-assurance that improved every aspect of her life. Maya's romantic life remained complicated by lingering trust issues from David's abandonment and Lily's betrayal. She dated occasionally but found it difficult to be vulnerable with new partners who might disappear if someone planted the right doubts or fears. The defensive walls she had built for protection also limited her ability to form deep emotional connections, creating a cycle of superficial relationships that left her feeling isolated despite her professional success. The irony of Maya's situation wasn't lost on her. She had achieved the career success and financial independence that many people spent their entire lives pursuing, but the personal relationships that might have made that success meaningful had been destroyed by the people closest to her. The family that should have celebrated her achievements continued to prioritize Lily's emotional needs, and the partner who should have shared her triumph had been manipulated into abandoning her at the moment when she needed support most. Maya's story was far from over, but the foundation had been laid for everything that would follow. The next phase would bring unexpected encounters, new relationships, and ultimately the justice that Maya had never sought, but absolutely deserved. 2 years after launching Solar Tech Innovations, Maya found herself navigating the complex world of high-stakes business deals and industry conferences that she had never imagined being part of during her graduate school years. The company had grown from her initial solo operation to a team of 37 employees working out of a sleek office space in downtown Seattle. The move from the Bay Area had been strategic, placing her company closer to major tech companies while reducing operational costs and providing access to a skilled workforce. The relocation to Seattle had also provided Maya with the geographic distance from her family that she needed to establish her independence completely. Phone conversations with her parents became monthly obligations rather than weekly sources of stress, and the 3-hour drive from San Francisco meant that unexpected visits were impossible. Maya had purchased a modern condominium in the Capitol Hill neighborhood, surrounded by the vibrant culture and innovative energy that suited her new identity as a successful entrepreneur. Maya's social life had gradually improved as her confidence grew and her defensive walls began to lower. Her company's success had attracted attention from other entrepreneurs and tech professionals, leading to invitations to industry events and networking opportunities that expanded her personal circle beyond academic connections. She had developed friendships with other business owners who understood the challenges of building companies from scratch and appreciated Maya's combination of technical expertise and business acumen. The romantic relationships that had seemed impossible in the immediate aftermath of David's abandonment slowly became more feasible as Maya's trust in her own judgment returned. She dated selectively, preferring partners who shared her interests in sustainability and technology while demonstrating the emotional maturity that had been lacking in her previous relationship. The process was careful and deliberate, reflecting Maya's determination to build future relationships on stronger foundations than the partnership that had been so easily destroyed. Maya's success had not gone unnoticed by her family, though their reactions remained complicated by the ongoing estrangement from Lily and their parents' continued inability to acknowledge the severity of what had happened. Her parents took pride in Maya's achievements when discussing them with friends and extended family members, but they continued to pressure her to reconcile with Lily and restore family harmony. Their inability to understand why Maya couldn't simply forgive and forget demonstrated the same pattern of minimizing Maya's emotional needs that had characterized her childhood. Lily's situation during this period was markedly different from Maya's trajectory. After completing her undergraduate degree, Lily had struggled to find stable employment that matched her expectations and social aspirations. She worked briefly for a marketing agency in San Francisco, then a nonprofit organization, followed by a stint at a boutique consulting firm that ended when she clashed with supervisors who questioned her work ethic. Each job transition was accompanied by dramatic explanations about toxic work environments, unreasonable expectations, or personality conflicts with colleagues who didn't appreciate her creative contributions. The pattern of professional instability was accompanied by equally turbulent personal relationships. Lily dated frequently but struggled to maintain long-term partnerships, often creating drama and conflict that drove away potential partners. Her relationships followed a predictable cycle of intense beginnings, rapid escalation, and explosive endings that left her feeling victimized and misunderstood. The emotional chaos of her personal life spilled over into her professional situations, creating a feedback loop of instability that made success in either arena increasingly difficult to achieve. Maya remained largely unaware of Lily's struggles during this period due to their complete lack of contact and her parents' tendency to minimize or excuse Lily's problems when speaking with Maya. The occasional updates Maya received painted a picture of Lily exploring different career opportunities and enjoying her social freedom, without mentioning the underlying patterns of failure and instability. Maya had made peace with not knowing details about her sister's life, accepting that their estrangement was the price of protecting herself from further manipulation. The catalyst for the next phase of Maya's story came through her participation in a prestigious technology conference held annually in Vancouver. The Pacific Northwest Tech Summit brought together entrepreneurs, investors, and industry leaders for 3 days of presentations, networking events, and business development opportunities. Maya had been invited to deliver a keynote presentation about sustainable energy innovations, a recognition that reflected her growing reputation within the industry. Maya's presentation at the conference was scheduled for the second day, giving her time to attend other sessions and participate in networking events that might lead to business partnerships or expansion opportunities. She approached these professional gatherings with the same methodical preparation that had characterized her academic work, researching attendees and identifying specific individuals she wanted to meet based on their potential value to her company's growth. The conference venue was the Vancouver Convention Centre, a stunning architectural achievement that overlooked the harbor and provided an appropriate backdrop for discussions about innovation and future technology. Maya arrived the evening before her presentation, using the time to review her materials and acclimate to the environment where she would be speaking to an audience of over 800 industry professionals. The first day of the conference proceeded exactly as Maya had planned, with productive conversations about potential partnerships and encouraging feedback about her company's technology. She attended presentations by other entrepreneurs, participated in panel discussions about sustainable business practices, and began to see concrete opportunities for expanding solar tech innovations into international markets. The professional validation was gratifying, but Maya found herself thinking about how different her experience might have been if she were sharing these achievements with a supportive partner. The evening networking reception on the first day was held in the convention center's main hall, with floor-to-ceiling windows providing spectacular views of the harbor and mountains beyond. Maya wore a tailored black dress that projected professionalism while allowing her to feel confident and comfortable during extended conversations with potential business partners. She had learned to navigate these social professional situations with grace, overcoming the shyness that had characterized her academic years. Maya was engaged in a conversation with a venture capital partner about potential funding for international expansion when she noticed a familiar figure across the crowded reception hall. David Hung stood near the registration table, wearing a charcoal suit and speaking animatedly with a small group of conference attendees. The sight of her former fiancé triggered a complex mixture of emotions that Maya had thought she had resolved years earlier. The initial shock of seeing David was followed by curiosity about what had brought him to the conference and whether his presence was coincidental or somehow connected to Maya's participation. She had not spoken to David since their breakup conversation 2.5 years earlier, and she had deliberately avoided seeking information about his personal or professional developments. The protective distance she had maintained suddenly felt inadequate as she realized they would likely encounter each other during the remaining conference events. Maya's first instinct was to avoid direct contact with David and focus on her professional objectives for the conference. She excused herself from the conversation about venture capital funding and moved to a different section of the reception hall, hoping to minimize the chances of an awkward encounter. However, the networking nature of the event made complete avoidance impossible, and Maya realized she would need to prepare mentally for the possibility of speaking with David about their past relationship and current circumstances. The preparation became unnecessary when David approached Maya directly as she stood near the refreshment station, reviewing her notes for the next day's presentation. His greeting was professionally cordial but carried undertones of the personal history they shared. Maya responded with equal professionalism, falling back on the social skills she had developed through years of business networking while struggling to process the emotional impact of this unexpected reunion. David's appearance had changed subtly since their relationship ended, reflecting the passage of time and different life experiences. He seemed more polished and confident in social situations, suggesting professional growth that paralleled Maya's own development as an entrepreneur. His conversation topics remained safely focused on conference events and industry trends, avoiding any direct reference to their personal history or the circumstances of their breakup. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of David's companion for the evening, a woman Maya recognized from conference materials as Jennifer Walsh, the founder of a successful marketing technology based in Portland. Jennifer's easy familiarity with David and the comfortable way they interacted suggested a close personal relationship that had developed since Maya and David's engagement ended. The introduction was polite but brief, with Jennifer clearly aware of Maya's identity and the history she shared with David. Maya managed the encounter with professional grace while internally processing the confirmation that David had moved on to a new relationship. The discovery was not devastating in the way it might have been immediately after their breakup, but it highlighted the different paths their lives had taken and raised questions about whether David's concerns about their compatibility had been genuine or simply the result of Lily's manipulation. Maya excused herself from the conversation with appropriate pleasantries and spent the remainder of the reception focused on other professional connections. The encounter with David served as an unexpected reminder of the personal costs of Lily's betrayal and the relationships that had been lost as collateral damage. Maya had built a successful company and established her professional reputation, but the personal fulfillment that should have accompanied these achievements remained incomplete. The sight of David with someone new reinforced Maya's sense that she had been cheated out of the partnership and support that might have made her success even more meaningful. Maya's presentation the next morning proceeded flawlessly, with her discussion of solar panel innovations receiving enthusiastic audience response and generating multiple opportunities for follow-up conversations. The professional triumph provided a welcome distraction from the emotional complexity of seeing David, and Maya threw herself into the networking and business development activities that represented the conference's primary value for her company. The unexpected encounter occurred during the final day's closing reception, when Maya found herself seated at a small table with David and Jennifer during a structured networking session designed to facilitate conversations between entrepreneurs in complementary industries. The format required participants to rotate between tables, ensuring that everyone had brief opportunities to discuss potential collaborations with multiple partners. The conversation at their table was initially focused on business topics, with Maya, David, and Jennifer discussing the intersection of sustainable technology, business development, and marketing strategies. Maya found herself impressed by Jennifer's insights about consumer behavior and market positioning, while David contributed valuable perspectives about scaling operations and managing rapid growth. The professional discussion was productive and suggested genuine opportunities for future collaboration between their companies. The dynamic shifted when Jennifer asked Maya about the personal challenges of building a company as a solo founder, expressing admiration for entrepreneurs who managed to succeed without the support of co-founders or business partners. Maya's response was carefully measured, acknowledging the difficulties while emphasizing the independence and decision-making autonomy that came with sole ownership. David's expression during this exchange suggested he understood the implicit reference to their failed partnership and the different path Maya had been forced to take. Jennifer's next question was more direct, asking whether Maya had considered bringing on business partners or co-founders as her company continued to grow. The question created an opportunity for Maya to address the elephant in the room without becoming personal or unprofessional. She explained that her experience had taught her to be extremely selective about business partnerships, emphasizing the importance of aligned values and demonstrated commitment before considering shared ownership arrangements. David's contribution to this part of the conversation was particularly revealing. He spoke about the importance of clear communication and mutual trust in business partnerships, acknowledging that his own approach to professional relationships had evolved based on lessons learned from past mistakes. The statement could have been interpreted as applying only to business contexts, but Maya detected subtle acknowledgement of the personal relationship failures that had shaped his current perspective. The networking session concluded with exchanges of business cards and commitments to follow up about potential collaboration opportunities. Maya found herself genuinely interested in working with Jennifer's company on marketing strategies for solar tech innovations consumer products, while maintaining appropriate professional distance from David's business development consulting services. The ability to separate personal history from professional opportunities represented significant growth in Maya's emotional maturity and business judgment. Maya's flight back to Seattle provided time to process the complex emotions and insights generated by her encounter with David at the conference. The professional success of her presentation and the promising business connections she had made were satisfying, but they were overshadowed by questions about the path not taken and the relationship that might have been possible without external interference. Maya found herself wondering whether David's doubts about their compatibility had been entirely manufactured by Lily's manipulation, or whether genuine concerns had been amplified by her sister's campaign. The question remained largely academic since David had clearly moved on to a new relationship and Maya had built a successful independent life that didn't require his partnership or validation. However, the encounter had stirred emotions and memories that Maya thought she had fully processed, suggesting that some aspects of the betrayal and loss continued to affect her in ways she hadn't fully acknowledged. Maya's return to Seattle coincided with a significant business development opportunity that required immediate attention and provided a welcome distraction from the emotional complexity of the Vancouver conference. A major utility company had expressed interest in partnering with Solar Tech Innovations to develop large-scale solar installations, representing potential revenue that could fund the company's expansion for several years. The negotiation process required Maya's full attention and utilized all the business skills she had developed since starting the company. The utility partnership negotiations also introduced Maya to Marcus Rivera, the company's director of sustainable energy initiatives and the primary liaison for potential collaboration with Solar Tech Innovation. Marcus was an experienced engineer with an MBA who had transitioned from technical roles to business development, following a career path that paralleled Maya's own journey from academic research to entrepreneurship. Their professional interactions quickly revealed shared values about environmental sustainability and compatible approaches to business development. Marcus's background included 10 years with renewable energy companies in California before relocating to Seattle to lead the utilities expansion into solar power generation. His experience with large-scale project development complemented Maya's expertise in technology innovation, creating a natural foundation for the professional collaboration their companies were exploring. The business relationship provided opportunities for extensive conversations about industry trends, technical challenges, and strategic planning that Maya found both intellectually stimulating and professionally valuable. The personal connection between Maya and Marcus developed gradually through their business interactions, beginning with shared meals during lengthy negotiation sessions and evolving into occasional social activities outside their professional obligations. Maya approached the potential relationship with the caution that had characterized her romantic life since David's abandonment, but she found Marcus's straightforward communication style and demonstrated reliability reassuring rather than threatening. Marcus's approach to their developing relationship was notably different from David's romantic style, emphasizing consistency and reliability rather than dramatic gestures or intense emotional declarations. He expressed interest in Maya's business achievements without feeling threatened by her success, and he demonstrated understanding of the time demands and travel requirements that came with running a growing technology company. The compatibility felt natural rather than forced, suggesting the potential for a partnership that could enhance rather than complicate Maya's professional life. The business partnership between Solar Tech Innovations and the utility company was finalized after 3 months of negotiations, representing Maya's largest contract to date and providing the financial foundation for significant company expansion. The success was particularly satisfying because it had been achieved entirely through Maya's own efforts and business acumen without requiring partnerships or support from the people who had previously been central to her plans. Maya's personal relationship with Marcus had also progressed during the business negotiations, evolving from professional collegiality to genuine romantic interest. Their first official date occurred after the contracts were signed, eliminating any potential conflicts of interest and allowing them to explore their personal connection without professional complications. Maya found herself more relaxed and open in this relationship than she had been with previous partners, suggesting that her emotional healing had progressed further than she had realized. The success of both her business and personal relationships created a sense of completion and satisfaction that Maya had not experienced since her graduate school years.
Solar Tech Innovations was thriving with major contracts and expansion opportunities, while her relationship with Marcus provided emotional support and companionship without the manipulation or instability that had characterized her family relationships. Maya began to see the possibility of building the life she had always wanted, based on her own choices and achievements rather than other people's expectations or sabotage. Maya's contentment was disrupted by an unexpected phone call from her mother, the first direct communication they had shared in over 6 months. The conversation began with superficial updates about extended family members and her parents' retirement planning, topics that felt safely neutral given the ongoing tension about Lily's behavior and Maya's continued estrangement from her sister. However, the real purpose of the call became apparent when Maya's mother broached the subject of Lily's current difficulties and her hope that Maya might consider offering assistance. According to Maya's mother, Lily was experiencing a particularly challenging period professionally and personally, having recently lost another job and ended another relationship under circumstances that left her emotionally devastated.
The pattern was familiar, but Maya's mother presented it as a series of unfortunate coincidences and external circumstances rather than consequences of Lily's own choices and behavior. She suggested that Maya's success and stability positioned her to provide guidance and support that could help Lily establish a more positive trajectory. Maya's response was measured but firm, explaining that her estrangement from Lily was based on specific betrayals that had not been acknowledged or addressed. She pointed out that offering assistance to someone who had deliberately sabotaged her most important relationship would be neither healthy for Maya nor helpful for Lily's personal growth. Maya suggested that Lily's problems might be better addressed through professional counseling or therapy rather than family intervention. The conversation became more heated when Maya's mother accused her of holding grudges and prioritizing past grievances over family obligations. She suggested that Maya's success had made her selfish and unwilling to help family members who were struggling, repeating familiar patterns of minimizing Maya's legitimate concerns while magnifying her supposed character flaws. The criticism felt like an echo of childhood dynamics, with Maya being blamed for failing to accommodate Lily's needs regardless of the personal cost. Maya ended the phone call with a clear statement that she would not be providing assistance to Lily without genuine acknowledgement of the harm that had been done and evidence of meaningful change in Lily's behavior. She pointed out that repeatedly rescuing Lily from the consequences of her actions had not helped her develop better judgment or more stable relationships, and Maya was not willing to enable further destructive patterns. The phone call left Maya emotionally unsettled, reminding her of the family dynamics she had worked hard to escape and the ways in which her success had not insulated her from continued manipulation attempts. She found herself questioning whether her stance was appropriately protective or unnecessarily harsh, struggling with the combination of love and resentment that characterized her feelings about her family members. Maya's conversation with Marcus about the family situation provided perspective and emotional support that helped her maintain confidence in her boundaries. Marcus listened without trying to fix the situation or offer simplistic advice, providing the kind of understanding and validation that Maya had rarely received from family members. His response reinforced Maya's sense that healthy relationships involved mutual respect and support rather than one-sided sacrifice and accommodation. The next several weeks proceeded without further family complications, allowing Maya to focus on the business expansion opportunities created by the utility partnership and the continued development of her relationship with Marcus. Solar Tech Innovations hired additional employees, moved to a larger office space, and began preliminary work on projects that could establish the company as a major player in the renewable energy industry. Maya's professional achievements continue to provide satisfaction and validation that had nothing to do with family approval or external recognition. Maya's sense of stability and progress was shattered by a second unexpected phone call, this time from Lily herself. The call came on a Tuesday evening as Maya was working late in her office, reviewing contracts for a potential expansion into Canadian markets. Lily's voice was tearful and desperate in a way that Maya had never heard before, suggesting crisis rather than manipulation. Lily's explanation of her current situation was chaotic and emotional, involving job loss, relationship failure, and financial problems that had left her unable to pay rent or afford basic necessities. She claimed to have exhausted all other resources and support systems, leaving Maya as her final option for assistance. The desperation seemed genuine, but Maya remained skeptical given Lily's history of manipulation and her family's tendency to exaggerate problems when seeking sympathy. The conversation took an unexpected turn when Lily directly addressed her role in destroying Maya's relationship with David, acknowledging her manipulation for the first time since Maya had confronted her about it years earlier. Lily claimed that therapy and recent failures had helped her understand the severity of what she had done, and she expressed genuine remorse for the pain she had caused. The apology was more comprehensive and emotionally honest than anything Maya had heard from her sister previously. Lily's account of her recent therapy sessions included insights about her pattern of sabotaging other people's relationships when she felt threatened by their success or happiness. She described a cycle of jealousy and manipulation that had damaged multiple relationships, not just Maya's engagement to David. The self-awareness seemed genuine, but Maya remained cautious about accepting it at face value given Lily's history of saying whatever was necessary to achieve her immediate goals. The phone call concluded with Lily's direct request for financial assistance to avoid eviction and cover basic living expenses while she searched for new employment. She promised to repay any loan and suggested that helping her during this crisis could be the first step toward rebuilding their relationship. Maya told Lily she needed time to consider the request and would call back within a few days with her decision. Maya's deliberation about Lily's request involved extensive conversations with Marcus, whose outside perspective helped her analyze the situation objectively. He pointed out that genuine change required consistent behavior over time rather than crisis-driven apologies, and he questioned whether financial assistance would actually help Lily develop better life skills or simply enable continued poor decisions. His questions helped Maya recognize that her desire to help might be motivated more by family guilt than by rational assessment of what would be truly beneficial. The decision Maya ultimately reached was to offer limited, structured assistance that prioritized accountability and personal growth over immediate financial relief. She agreed to pay for 3 months of therapy sessions for Lily with the requirement that Lily maintain consistent attendance and provide progress updates. Maya also offered to help Lily create a realistic budget and job search plan, but she declined to provide direct financial assistance that might enable continued irresponsible behavior. The decision Maya ultimately reached was to offer limited, structured assistance that prioritized accountability and personal growth over immediate financial relief. She agreed to pay for 3 months of therapy sessions for Lily with the requirement that Lily maintain consistent attendance and provide progress updates. Maya also offered to help Lily create a realistic budget and job search plan, but she declined to provide direct financial assistance that might enable continued irresponsible behavior. The decision Maya ultimately reached was to offer limited, structured assistance that prioritized accountability and personal growth over immediate financial relief. She agreed to pay for 3 months of therapy sessions for Lily with the requirement that Lily maintain consistent attendance and provide progress updates. Maya also offered to help Lily create a realistic budget and job search plan, but she declined to provide direct financial assistance that might enable continued irresponsible behavior.
Lily's response to Maya's conditional offer was initially resistant, suggesting that she had expected unconditional financial support rather than structured assistance focused on personal development. However, her desperate circumstances left her with few alternatives, and she eventually accepted Maya's terms while expressing disappointment that her sister would not provide more immediate relief. The exchange reinforced Maya's sense that Lily's crisis had not fundamentally changed her entitled expectations about family support. Maya's handling of Lily's crisis request represented significant growth in her ability to maintain boundaries while still offering appropriate assistance. The decision reflected hard-won wisdom about the difference between helping and enabling, and it demonstrated Maya's commitment to protecting her own emotional well-being while still acknowledging family connections. The approach was neither vindictive nor overly generous, striking a balance that reflected Maya's values and priorities. The aftermath of Lily's crisis and Maya's response created a tentative opening for renewed contact between the sisters, though Maya remained cautious about the pace and scope of rebuilding their relationship. The structured assistance arrangement provided a framework for limited interaction that protected Maya's interests while creating opportunities for Lily to demonstrate genuine change through consistent behavior over time. Maya's business continued to thrive during this period of family complexity, with Solar Tech Innovations securing additional contracts and preparing for international expansion that would significantly increase the company's valuation and market presence. The professional success provided a foundation of stability and confidence that enabled Maya to navigate family relationships from a position of strength rather than vulnerability. The combination of business achievement and personal growth had transformed Maya from the struggling graduate student whose engagement had been destroyed by family manipulation into a successful entrepreneur capable of setting appropriate boundaries and making decisions based on her own values and priorities. The journey had been painful and difficult, but it had ultimately created the independence and self-assurance that made Maya's current success possible.
The next phase of Maya's story would test whether the foundations she had built were strong enough to withstand the challenges that lay ahead, including decisions about love, family, and the kind of life she wanted to create moving forward. The past had shaped her, but it would no longer define her future. 18 months after Maya's conditional assistance offer to Lily, the structured therapy arrangement had produced mixed but measurable results. Lily maintained consistent attendance at her counseling sessions and provided monthly progress updates as required, though her reports often emphasized external circumstances and other people's behavior rather than focusing on her own patterns and choices. Maya reviewed these updates with professional detachment, noting incremental improvements while remaining realistic about the pace of genuine personal change. Maya's relationship with Marcus had deepened significantly during this same period, evolving from professional colleagues to committed partners who shared both personal intimacy and business collaboration. Their approach to the relationship was methodical and mature, built on demonstrated compatibility rather than romantic idealization. They maintained separate residences while spending most evenings together, and they had begun discussing long-term plans that included both marriage and business expansion opportunities. Marcus's influence on Maya's personal growth was subtle but profound. His consistent reliability and straightforward communication style provided a sharp contrast to the manipulation and instability that had characterized Maya's family relationships. He respected Maya's independence while offering genuine partnership, never attempting to diminish her achievements or question her judgment about business decisions. The relationship felt like a true collaboration between equals rather than a competition or power struggle. Solar tech innovations had expanded into international markets during this period, establishing partnerships with companies in Canada, Germany, and Australia that significantly increased both revenue and industry recognition. Maya's solar panel innovations were being implemented in large-scale installations across 3 continents, and she had been invited to speak at major conferences about sustainable technology and entrepreneurship. The professional validation was deeply satisfying, particularly because it had been achieved entirely through Maya's own efforts and expertise. The business success had also created financial security that fundamentally changed Maya's relationship with her family's ongoing drama and requests for assistance. She no longer felt vulnerable to emotional manipulation or guilt about failing to meet their expectations, because her life had been built on foundations that had nothing to do with their approval or support. The independence was liberating in ways that Maya continued to discover as she navigated various personal and professional challenges. Maya's parents had gradually adjusted their approach to their relationship with her, though their understanding of the situation remained incomplete and self-serving. They had begun acknowledging Maya's professional achievements more consistently, often referencing her success when speaking with friends and extended family members. However, they continued to minimize the significance of Lily's manipulation and to pressure Maya for greater family involvement whenever Lily experienced new difficulties or setbacks. The tentative equilibrium of Maya's family relationships was disrupted by an unexpected development that would test all the progress that had been made and force long overdue confrontations about accountability and consequences. The catalyst came through Maya's participation in a technology industry award ceremony, where she was receiving recognition for innovation in sustainable energy applications. The Pacific Coast Business Awards were held annually in San Francisco, bringing together entrepreneurs, investors, and industry leaders from across the Western United States. Maya had been nominated in the category of Emerging Technology Innovation, competing against founders of companies working in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and advanced manufacturing. The nomination itself was significant recognition of solar tech innovation's impact on the renewable energy sector. Maya attended the awards ceremony with Marcus, who had taken time off from his responsibilities with the utility company to support her during what was likely to be a career-defining professional moment. They stayed at a downtown hotel and planned to spend the weekend exploring San Francisco together, combining the award ceremony with a mini-vacation that would celebrate Maya's achievements and their relationship milestones. The ceremony was held at the Moscone Center, with over 1,500 attendees representing the most successful and influential businesses on the West Coast. Maya wore an elegant navy dress that projected confidence and professionalism while allowing her to feel comfortable during the lengthy evening of presentations and networking. She had prepared brief remarks in case she won her category, though she tried to manage her expectations given the caliber of competition. The evening began with a cocktail reception, where Maya reconnected with industry colleagues and met potential business partners whose companies might benefit from solar tech's technology. The conversations were productive and suggested concrete opportunities for future collaboration, making the event valuable regardless of the award outcomes.
Marcus proved adept at these professional social situations, engaging meaningfully with Maya's colleagues while supporting her networking objectives without overshadowing her professional presence. Maya's category was announced midway through the awards ceremony, with the presenter highlighting the significance of sustainable technology innovation for addressing climate change and creating economic opportunities. Maya listened to the descriptions of her competitors' achievements with genuine admiration for their work, while acknowledging to herself that winning would represent validation of the path she had chosen after rebuilding her life following David's abandonment and her family's betrayals. When Maya's name was announced as the winner, the moment felt surreal and deeply satisfying simultaneously. She had dreamed of professional recognition like this during her graduate school years, but the reality exceeded her expectations in terms of both personal fulfillment and industry significance. As she walked to the stage to accept the award, Maya was aware of Marcus's enthusiastic applause and the respect being shown by colleagues who understood the difficulty of achieving success in sustainable technology entrepreneurship. Maya's acceptance speech was brief and gracious, acknowledging her team at Solar Tech Innovations and the importance of sustainable technology for addressing global environmental challenges. She mentioned the personal satisfaction of building something meaningful from scratch and the responsibility that came with success in addressing climate change. The speech was well received and reinforced Maya's reputation as both a technical innovator and thoughtful business leader. The reception following the awards ceremony provided opportunities for extended conversations with investors, potential business partners, and media representatives interested in featuring Solar Tech Innovations in upcoming publications. Maya handled these interactions with the professional confidence she had developed over years of building her company, while Marcus provided support and companionship that enhanced rather than complicated her networking efforts. Maya's sense of triumph and satisfaction was complete as they returned to their hotel room late that evening, with Marcus expressing his pride in her achievements and his excitement about the business opportunities that would likely result from the award recognition. They celebrated privately with champagne and quiet conversation about their shared future and the possibilities that lay ahead for both their personal relationship and professional collaboration. The perfection of the evening was shattered the next morning by a series of frantic phone calls from Maya's mother, whose voice conveyed panic and desperation that immediately put Maya on high alert. According to her mother's breathless explanation, Lily had been arrested for embezzlement at her most recent job and was facing criminal charges that could result in jail time and permanent damage to her reputation and career prospects. The details that emerged through Maya's mother's emotional recounting painted a picture of systematic financial manipulation that went far beyond the impulsive poor judgment that had characterized Lily's previous mistakes. She had apparently been transferring small amounts of money from client accounts to personal accounts over a period of several months, believing that the amounts were too small to be noticed and that she could repay them before anyone discovered the discrepancies. Maya's initial reaction was a mixture of shock at the severity of Lily's actions and resignation about the predictable escalation of her sister's destructive pattern. The embezzlement represented a fundamental breach of trust and legal boundaries that went far beyond the personal manipulation and professional instability that have characterized Lily's previous behavior. Maya recognized that this crisis was qualitatively different from the financial difficulties and relationship problems that had precipitated her previous requests for assistance. Her parents' response to Lily's arrest revealed the full extent of their continued enabling and their inability to recognize the connection between their unconditional support and Lily's escalating irresponsible behavior. They immediately began seeking legal representation and financial assistance to address the criminal charges, while simultaneously minimizing Lily's culpability and blaming her actions on external circumstances, including work stress and inadequate supervision. Maya's mother's phone call included a direct request for financial assistance to cover legal fees and potential restitution costs, presented as a family emergency that required immediate response regardless of ongoing relationship tensions. She suggested that Maya's success and financial resources created an obligation to help family members in crisis, particularly when criminal charges threatened Lily's future prospects for employment and social acceptance.
The request forced Maya to confront the fundamental question of where her responsibility to family ended and her responsibility to protect herself and her own achievements began. The embezzlement charges represented consequences of choices that Lily had made as an adult, and Maya recognized that providing financial assistance might actually prevent Lily from fully experiencing the accountability that could motivate genuine behavioral change. Maya's discussion of the situation with Marcus provided clarity about the appropriate boundaries and response to her family's crisis. He helped her recognize that Lily's legal troubles were the natural result of escalating irresponsible behavior that had been enabled rather than confronted by family members who prioritized short-term harmony over long-term accountability. Marcus pointed out that rescuing Lily from these consequences would likely reinforce the pattern rather than interrupting it. Maya's decision was to decline providing financial assistance for legal fees or restitution, while offering to pay for intensive therapy or rehabilitation programs that addressed the underlying behavioral patterns that had led to the embezzlement. She explained to her parents that helping Lily avoid consequences would not actually help Lily develop better judgment or more responsible behavior, and that genuine change required experiencing the full impact of her choices. Her parents' reaction to Maya's conditional response was predictably emotional and accusatory. They suggested that Maya's success had made her heartless and unwilling to help family members in desperate situations. They accused her of holding grudges about past conflicts, while her sister faced potential imprisonment and permanent damage to her future. The familiar pattern of minimizing Maya's legitimate concerns while maximizing her supposed obligations felt like an echo of childhood dynamics that Maya had worked hard to escape. Maya's response to her parents' emotional manipulation was calm but firm, reflecting years of growth in establishing and maintaining appropriate boundaries. She explained that she loved Lily but could not continue enabling destructive behavior that was escalating in severity and legal consequences. She pointed out that their pattern of rescuing Lily from consequences had not helped her develop better judgment or more stable life patterns, and Maya was not willing to contribute to further enabling. The conversation concluded with Maya's parents expressing disappointment and anger about their unwillingness to provide unconditional support during a family crisis. They threatened to cut off contact with Maya entirely if she would not help with Lily's legal expenses, a threat that revealed their continued misunderstanding of leverage and Maya's current emotional independence. Maya calmly acknowledged their right to make that choice while maintaining her own boundaries about appropriate assistance. Maya's handling of her family's crisis response represented a significant test of the emotional growth and independence she had developed since rebuilding her life after David's abandonment. The ability to maintain appropriate boundaries despite intense emotional pressure and manipulation attempts demonstrated that Maya's success had provided not just financial security, but genuine psychological freedom from destructive family dynamics. The immediate aftermath of Maya's family's crisis was challenging, but ultimately reinforced her confidence in the life she had built and the relationships she had chosen. Marcus's support during this difficult period was unwavering and unconditional, providing the kind of partnership that Maya had always wanted but never experienced in her family relationships.
His presence helped Maya maintain perspective and emotional stability while navigating the complexity of love, responsibility, and self-protection. Solar tech innovations continued to benefit from the recognition Maya had received at the awards ceremony, with new business opportunities and partnership proposals arriving regularly throughout the following weeks. The professional momentum provided welcome distraction from family drama while reinforcing Maya's sense that she had made the right choices about prioritizing her own goals and values over family expectations and manipulation. Maya's parents followed through on their threat to reduce contact, though their version of cutting her off involved occasional guilt-inducing emails and messages rather than complete silence. The reduced communication was actually relief for Maya, who had found their conversations increasingly stressful and unproductive as they focused primarily on Lily's problems and Maya's supposed obligations rather than mutual interest in each other's lives and well-being. Lily's legal situation developed slowly through the court system, with plea negotiations and legal maneuvering that extended over several months. Maya received occasional updates through mutual family friends rather than direct communication, learning that Lily had ultimately accepted a plea arrangement that included restitution payments, community service, and probation rather than jail time. The resolution suggested that the consequences, while serious, were manageable and might provide opportunities for genuine accountability and behavioral change.
Maya's emotional response to news of Lily's plea agreement was complex but ultimately hopeful. She felt sadness about the path that had led to criminal charges and family estrangement, but she also felt cautious optimism that experiencing real consequences might motivate the self-reflection and behavioral change that had been absent from Lily's previous crises. Maya remained open to rebuilding their relationship if Lily demonstrated sustained change and genuine accountability for her actions. The resolution of immediate family crisis allowed Maya to focus more fully on the opportunities and challenges facing solar tech innovations as it entered a new phase of growth and expansion. The company had outgrown its current facilities and was preparing to relocate to a larger headquarters that would accommodate planned hiring and equipment upgrades. Maya's role had evolved from hands-on technical work to strategic leadership and business development, requiring new skills and perspectives that she found both challenging and satisfying. Maya's relationship with Marcus had also reached a decision point about long-term commitment and future plans that would affect both their personal partnership and professional collaboration. They had been discussing marriage for several months, approaching the decision with the same methodical analysis that characterized their business partnerships. The relationship felt stable and supportive in ways that Maya had never experienced, providing the emotional foundation for considering permanent commitment. Marcus's proposal occurred during a quiet weekend at his cabin in the Cascade Mountains, where they had gone to discuss strategic planning for both their companies and their personal relationship. The setting was intimate and private, reflecting their preference for meaningful conversations away from professional obligations and external distractions. Marcus's approach to the proposal was thoughtful and personal, emphasizing their partnership and shared goals rather than dramatic romantic gestures. Maya's acceptance was immediate and confident, based on years of demonstrated compatibility and mutual support that had proven resilient through various personal and professional challenges. The engagement felt like a natural progression of their relationship rather than a dramatic change, and they began planning a wedding that would reflect their values and priorities rather than external expectations or social pressures. The wedding planning process provided opportunities to demonstrate the emotional growth and independence Maya had achieved since her previous engagement. She and Marcus made decisions based on their own preferences and budget constraints rather than family expectations or social obligations. The guest list included colleagues and friends who had supported their relationship rather than extended family members who might create drama or impose their own agendas on the celebration. Maya's parents were invited to the wedding despite recent tensions, reflecting Maya's hope that the positive occasion might provide opportunities for improved family relationships. However, Maya made clear that their attendance was welcome but not required, and that the wedding plans would not be modified to accommodate their preferences or expectations. The boundaries were firm but not vindictive, reflecting Maya's growth in managing family relationships without compromising her own needs and priorities. Lily was not invited to the wedding, a decision that Maya made after careful consideration of the potential for disruption and manipulation during what should be a celebration of love and commitment. Maya remained open to rebuilding their relationship in the future if Lily demonstrated sustained behavioral change and genuine accountability, but she was not willing to risk having her wedding day affected by drama or manipulation. The wedding ceremony took place at a botanical garden in Seattle, with approximately 60 guests, including close friends, colleagues, and family members who had provided genuine support for Maya and Marcus's relationship. The setting reflected their shared commitment to environmental sustainability, while providing natural beauty that enhanced rather than overwhelmed the personal significance of their marriage vows. Maya wore a dress that balanced elegance with practicality, reflecting her personal style and professional identity rather than conforming to traditional bridal expectations. Marcus wore a suit that complemented Maya's dress while maintaining his own sense of personal style and comfort. Their approach to wedding attire reflected the broader theme of the celebration, which emphasized authenticity and personal meaning over external appearances or social conventions. The ceremony itself was brief and personal, with vows that Maya and Marcus had written themselves to reflect their understanding of partnership, commitment, and shared goals. They acknowledged the challenges they had overcome individually and together while expressing confidence about their future as married partners. The words were meaningful and specific rather than generic, reflecting genuine understanding of each other's character and values. Maya's parents attended the ceremony and reception, though their behavior revealed ongoing discomfort with Maya's independence and success. They seemed to struggle with their daughter's confident assertion of her own preferences and priorities rather than seeking their approval or affirmation. However, they managed to participate appropriately in the celebration without creating significant disruption or drama. The reception was held at the same venue, with dinner and dancing that reflected Maya and Marcus's musical preferences and social style. The atmosphere was warm and celebratory without being overwhelming, allowing guests to enjoy themselves while focusing on the couple's happiness and future together. Maya felt genuinely joyful and relaxed throughout the evening, surrounded by people who had supported her journey and shared her excitement for the future. Maya's wedding day represented the culmination of years of personal growth, professional achievement, and emotional healing that had transformed her from a graduate student whose life had been derailed by family manipulation into a successful entrepreneur capable of building healthy relationships based on mutual respect and genuine partnership.
The contrast with her previous engagement was profound and satisfying, demonstrating how much she had learned about love, trust, and self-protection. The honeymoon provided Maya and Marcus with time to reflect on their journey together and discuss their plans for the future, both personally and professionally. They traveled to Costa Rica, where they visited renewable energy installations and explored opportunities for solar tech innovations to expand into Central American markets. The combination of personal celebration and professional exploration reflected their integrated approach to life and work. Maya's return from her honeymoon coincided with news that would provide the final resolution to her family conflicts and demonstrate the ultimate consequences of the choices that each family member had made over the years. She received a phone call from a family friend informing her that Lily had violated the terms of her probation and was facing additional criminal charges that could result in significant jail time. The details that emerged suggested that Lily had not learned from her previous consequences and had continued engaging in financially irresponsible behavior despite legal supervision and professional counseling. She had apparently been involved in a check fraud scheme that violated multiple conditions of her probation agreement, demonstrating that the previous consequences had not motivated genuine behavioral change or better judgment about legal and ethical boundaries. Maya's reaction to news of Lily's additional legal troubles was sadness rather than surprise, reflecting her realistic understanding of the behavioral patterns that had led to the initial embezzlement charges. She recognized that Lily's choices had created a trajectory but was likely to continue until more severe consequences forced genuine accountability and change. Maya felt sorry for her sister, but also relieved that she had maintained appropriate boundaries rather than enabling the destructive behavior. Her parents' response to Lily's new legal crisis was to renew their requests for Maya's financial assistance, this time with more desperate urgency, given the potential for actual imprisonment. They seemed genuinely shocked by Lily's continued poor judgment despite the previous consequences, suggesting that they had been as unrealistic as Maya about the likelihood of sustained behavioral change without deeper intervention. Maya's response to renewed requests for assistance was consistent with her previous position, offering to pay for intensive residential treatment programs that addressed underlying behavioral patterns while declining to provide money for legal fees or bail that would minimize consequences. She explained that she continued to love Lily but could not contribute to enabling cycles that prevented authentic accountability and growth. The conversation with her parents about Lily's latest crisis revealed the extent to which their own perspectives had begun to shift as a result of repeated disappointments and escalating consequences. For the first time, they acknowledged that their pattern of rescuing Lily from consequences might have prevented her from developing better judgment and more responsible behavior. The recognition was incomplete and self-serving, but it represented more insight than they had previously demonstrated. Maya's parents also expressed regret about their treatment of Maya during her childhood and young adult years, acknowledging that they had consistently prioritized Lily's immediate needs over Maya's long-term development and well-being. The apology was not comprehensive enough to address all the harm that had been done, but it represented recognition of patterns that they had previously denied or minimized. Maya accepted her parents' partial apology while maintaining realistic expectations about the pace and extent of their personal growth. She offered to rebuild their relationship gradually if they continued developing better understanding of appropriate boundaries and mutual respect. However, she made clear that reconciliation would require sustained behavioral change rather than crisis-driven insights that might disappear when immediate pressure subsided.
Lily's second round of legal troubles ultimately resulted in a jail sentence that provided the intensive accountability and isolation from enablers that might finally motivate genuine self-reflection and behavioral change. Maya felt sadness about the circumstances that had made incarceration necessary, but she also felt cautious hope that the severe consequences might create opportunities for the personal growth that had been absent from previous interventions. Maya's business and personal life continued to flourish during this period of family crisis. Solar Tech Innovations had expanded into 5 international markets and was preparing for a public offering that would provide capital for further growth while establishing Maya as one of the most successful environmental technology entrepreneurs of her generation. The professional achievement represented the fulfillment of goals that had seemed impossible during her graduate school years. Her marriage to Marcus continued to provide the emotional stability and partnership that enhanced both their personal happiness and professional success. They had begun discussing starting a family while maintaining their commitment to building businesses that addressed environmental challenges and created economic opportunities. The future felt full of possibilities that were limited only by their own imagination and effort rather than by family dysfunction or external manipulation. Maya's story had evolved from tragedy and betrayal to triumph and genuine happiness, demonstrating the possibility of rebuilding life after devastating losses while maintaining hope for reconciliation with family members who were willing to grow and change. The journey had been difficult and painful, but it had ultimately created the independence, success, and love that Maya had always wanted but never known how to achieve. The final irony of Maya's transformation was that achieving everything she had dreamed of during her graduate school years had required losing the relationship she thought she needed most. The family and fiancé who had seemed essential to her happiness had actually been obstacles to the authentic success and genuine love that were only possible when Maya built her life on her own foundation of values, goals, and authentic relationships with people who respected and supported her completely. Maya's wedding day had represented not just the beginning of marriage to Marcus, but the culmination of a journey from dependent daughter and abandoned fiancé to independent entrepreneur and equal partner in a relationship built on mutual respect and shared commitment to building something meaningful together. The contrast with her previous engagement was profound and demonstrated the difference between relationships based on compromise and accommodation versus partnerships based on genuine compatibility and mutual enhancement. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.